Imagine a time before the Great Flood, a world of immense beauty and terrifying corruption, where the boundaries between heaven and earth were thin and celestial beings walked among men. This is the world of Enoch, a righteous man who saw visions of the divine, a scribe chosen to record the secrets of the universe and the terrible fate of those who transgress its sacred laws. His story, preserved in the Book of the Watchers, is not just an ancient text. It is a profound and haunting journey into the origins of evil, a celestial rebellion that threatened to consume all of creation, and a testament to the unyielding justice of the Most High. We begin with his blessing, a prophecy thundering across the ages, meant not for his own generation, but for a remote one, for us living in the day of tribulation. Enoch speaks, his words echoing from a distant past. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might, from the heaven of heavens. This is the core of his message, a vision of ultimate judgment, where the wicked and godless are to be removed, and the earth itself is shaken to its foundations. The high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame, a cataclysm of divine wrath. But for the elect, the righteous, there is a promise, a covenant of peace. He will make peace and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God. This is the great dichotomy, the central theme of Enoch's parable, the ultimate separation between the chosen and the fallen, a theme that begins not with man, but with angels. To understand the cataclysm, we must first understand the perfection of the order that was violated. Enoch, in his divine wisdom, directs our gaze upward to the heavens themselves as a lesson in fidelity. Observe everything that takes place in the heaven, he instructs, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heaven, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season, and transgress not against their appointed order. The sun, the moon, the stars, all move with a clockwork precision ordained by the Creator, a cosmic symphony of obedience. Look to the earth, he says. Behold the summer and the winter, the cyclical rebirth of spring, the quiet death of autumn. The whole earth is filled with water, and clouds and dew and rain lie upon it. Even the trees, he points out, with the exception of a faithful 14, shed their leaves in winter, only to be clothed anew when the season turns. This is the natural law, the divine order, everything fulfilling its purpose without question, without pride, without deviation. It is a stark contrast to the chaos that is about to unfold, a chaos born not from ignorance, but from a conscious, willful rebellion against this very order. The Lord, through Enoch, lays the accusation bare. But ye have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord, but ye have turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. The charge is one of cosmic treason, and the sentence is severe. O ye hard-hearted, ye shall find no peace. This sets the stage, the perfect harmonious creation and the flawed, rebellious creature, humanity. But as we will see, humanity was not the first to fall. The true origin of the corruption lies in a fateful decision made in the celestial realms. The narrative shifts, pulling back the curtain on a divine scandal. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. These women, the text tells us, caught the attention of beings who should have been beyond such earthly desires. The angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. Imagine the scene, these holy ones, these watchers whose purpose was to observe and serve, now consumed by a base physical longing. Their leader, a powerful angel named Samjaza, expresses fear. "I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin." But his hesitation is swept aside by the collective passion of the 200. They bind themselves by a mutual oath, a terrible pact sworn on the summit of Mount Hermon, a name that forever after would be etched with the memory of their transgression. This was not a momentary lapse, it was a premeditated, sworn rebellion, a deliberate crossing of the ultimate boundary between the spiritual and the corporeal. They descended, these 200 shining ones, and took human wives for themselves, defiling themselves with them. This act of union was the primary sin, but it was only the beginning of the avalanche of evil that would follow. The consequences of this illicit union were as catastrophic as they were unnatural. The women became pregnant and bore children, but these were no ordinary offspring. They were the Nephilim, the giants whose height was 3,000 ells. These beings, born of spirit and flesh, were abominations in the natural order, their very existence a tear in the fabric of creation. Their appetites were as immense as their stature, who consumed the acquisitions of men. They devoured the fruits of human labor, all the crops, all the livestock, until humanity could no longer sustain them. Then, in their insatiable hunger, the giants turned on their creators and devoured mankind. The world descended into a nightmare of cannibalism and bloodshed, and they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. The earth, which was created good, was now drenched in blood and perversion. The land itself, personified as a living entity, could bear it no longer. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. The very soil cried out in protest against the defilement, its voice joining the rising lament of murdered humanity, a cry that would soon pierce the very gates of heaven. The watchers did not stop at their carnal transgression. They compounded their sin by revealing forbidden knowledge to their human wives and children. This was the second great crime, the corruption of wisdom. The angel Asael, in particular, is singled out for his destructive teachings. Asael taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them. He introduced the technology of warfare, of metalworking for instruments of death. He taught the art of vanity, bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. This was knowledge that fostered pride, greed, and conflict. Other watchers divulged even deeper secrets. Zemjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings, the dark arts of magic. Amirs taught the resolving of enchantments, a magic to counter magic. Kokabel taught astrology, Barakijal the constellations, Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds, Arakiel the signs of the earth, Shamsiel the signs of the sun, and Sariel the course of the moon. These were the eternal secrets, the mysteries of the universe that were preserved in heaven, meant for God alone. By revealing them, the Watchers not only corrupted humanity, but arrogated to themselves the role of divine benefactors, leading mankind astray into all manner of godlessness and fornication. The world became a laboratory for forbidden knowledge, a place where cosmic power was wielded without wisdom or morality, and the result was utter ruin. The cacophony of suffering rising from the earth could not be ignored in the heavenly realms. The archangels, the faithful servants of God, looked down upon the devastation. Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel witnessed the bloodshed and the rampant lawlessness. The earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven, they declared. The souls of the slain, the very spirits of the unjustly killed, were now making their suit before the throne of the Most High, begging for justice. The archangels, in their turn, approach the Lord of the ages, the King of kings, and present the case. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou, they pray, acknowledging his ultimate sovereignty, and all things are naked and open in thy sight. They lay the blame squarely on the watchers, on Asael, who taught unrighteousness, and on Semjaza, who was given authority over his associates, but led them into defilement. The whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness, they testify. And now they await a response. What are we to do to them in regard to these? The heavenly court is in session, and the judgment is about to be delivered. The fate of the watchers, their monstrous offspring, and all of creation hangs in the balance. The divine response is swift, decisive, and terrifying in its finality. The Most High, the Holy and Great One, speaks, and his commands are a blueprint for cleansing and restoration. First, he sends Uriel to Noah, the one righteous man left, to warn him of the coming deluge, to instruct him to build an ark so that his seed may be preserved. This is the first act of mercy, the preservation of a remnant. Then the sentences are passed. To Raphael he commands, "Bind Asael hand and foot and cast him into the darkness." A specific, horrifying prison is prepared. Make an opening in the desert which is in Judea, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever. Asael, the purveyor of destructive knowledge, is to be buried alive in a rocky tomb, shrouded in perpetual night, until the final day of judgment, when he will be cast into the fire. Raphael is also tasked with healing the earth that the angels have corrupted, to proclaim its healing, a sign that the plague will not be eternal. Next, the Lord commands Gabriel, "Proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication." The monstrous offspring of the watchers, the Nephilim, are to be destroyed. But note the method: send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. God uses their own violent nature as the instrument of their destruction. They will turn their swords, the very technology given by Asael, upon one another, until they are wiped out. Their fathers, the watchers, are denied any request on their behalf, for they hoped their children would live eternal lives, a further arrogance. Finally, the Lord speaks to Michael, "Go, bind Semjaza and his associates. Their punishment is to be bound fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, until the day of their final consummation in the abyss of fire." This is not an annihilation, but a prolonged imprisonment, a torment that lasts for eons, a testament to the gravity of their sin. The judgment is comprehensive. It targets the leaders, the teacher of forbidden arts, the hybrid offspring, and it aims to purge the earth completely. "Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth," God commands, "so that the plant of righteousness and truth may appear." This is the promise, the hope after the storm, a future where the earth will be tilled in righteousness, where vines will yield wine in abundance, and where the children of men shall become righteous, offering adoration to their Creator in a cleansed and peaceful world. Now we turn to Enoch himself, who becomes the central human actor in this divine drama. Before these cataclysmic events, Enoch was hidden, his whereabouts unknown to mankind. His days were spent with the holy ones, and he was known as a scribe of righteousness. It is the fallen watchers themselves who seek him out. These once mighty beings, now fearful and desperate, they call to him, "Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the heaven who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women." They ask him to be their messenger, to hear their fate, a tragic task for the righteous man. Enoch goes to them and finds them gathered in a place called Abigail, between Lebanon and Senir, weeping, their faces covered in shame. They can no longer lift their eyes to heaven. The weight of their condemnation is so heavy. They beg Enoch to write a petition for them, to read it before the Lord, to seek some measure of forgiveness. Enoch, in his compassion, agrees. He writes out their petition, their plea for mercy and length of days, and he goes to the waters of Dan, where he sits and reads their words until he falls asleep. And it is in this state that he is granted a profound and terrifying vision, a dream that will confirm their doom and reveal the majesty of the divine throne. His vision begins with an ascent. Behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightnings sped and hastened me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward, and bore me into heaven. He is taken up through layers of reality until he approaches a wall built of crystals surrounded by tongues of fire. He is frightened, but he passes through, entering a vast house built entirely of crystal, with a ceiling like the path of the stars and lightnings, and walls of flaming fire. The atmosphere is paradoxical. It was hot as fire and cold as ice, a place of pure, untempered power, where there are no delights of life. Fear and trembling seize him, and he falls on his face. Then he beholds a second house, even greater than the first, its entire portal built of flames. The floor is fire, the ceiling is flaming fire, and above it are lightnings and the paths of the stars. And in the center of this unimaginable splendor he sees a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. From underneath the throne come streams of flaming fire, and upon this throne sits the great glory. His raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. This is the divine presence, the Shekinah, so magnificent that no angel could enter and behold his face directly, and certainly no flesh could behold him and live. 10,000 times 10,000 beings stand before him, yet he needs no counselor. This is the ultimate source of all authority, the very judge who has decreed the fate of the watchers. Enoch lies prostrate, overwhelmed by the sheer holiness and power before him. Then a voice calls him, "Come hither, Enoch, and hear my word." One of the holy ones wakes him, helps him to his feet, and brings him closer to the door. He bows his face downward, unable to look directly upon the glory. The Lord himself then speaks to Enoch, and his words are a definitive answer to the watcher's petition. "Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear my voice. The command is clear. Go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men, and not men for you." This single sentence encapsulates the entire inversion of their purpose. They were meant to be mediators for humanity, guides and protectors, not beings who required human intercession for their own salvation. The indictment continues, "Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men?" He reminds them of their original, exalted state. "Though ye were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh." They have chosen the mortal and the corruptible over the immortal and the pure. Therefore, because they have acted like the children of men, they will share their fate, but without the hope of eternal life that was once theirs. The Lord then explains the ongoing consequence of their sin, the origin of evil spirits. The giants, the Nephilim, produced from the union of spirit and flesh, may be physically destroyed, but their spiritual essence remains. Now the giants, who are produced from the spirits and flesh, shall be called evil spirits upon the earth. And on the earth shall be their dwelling. These are the disembodied spirits of the dead giants. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies. They are inherently destructive. The spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth and cause trouble. They are hungry and thirsty spirits causing offense, and they will continue to rise up against the children of men and women until the final judgment. This is a crucial theological point, explaining the presence of demonic forces in the world as a direct result of the Watcher's sin. These are not fallen angels themselves, but the malignant spirits of their dead offspring, doomed to roam the earth, a perpetual reminder of the great rebellion. To the Watchers, the message is final. You have no peace. Their petition is denied utterly. They will be bound. They will witness the destruction of their children, and they will have no share in the mercy to come. Following this divine audience, Enoch is taken on a guided tour of the cosmos and the underworld by the archangels, a journey that reveals the structure of creation and the places of punishment. They bring him to a place of flaming fire and then to a mountain of darkness whose summit reaches to heaven. He sees the treasuries of the stars and the thunder, the fiery weapons of heaven, bows, arrows, a sword, and all the lightnings. He's shown the living waters and the fire of the west, which receives the setting sun. He sees a river of fire flowing like water into the great sea, and he goes to the great darkness, a place where no flesh walks. He sees the mountains of the darkness of winter and the mouth of the deep. He is shown the very cornerstone of the earth and the four winds that bear it up. He sees the paths of the angels and the pillars of heaven. This is a revelation of cosmology, the hidden mechanics of the world as designed by God, a universe of order and purpose, now tragically marred by the rebellion he has just witnessed. He is then shown the places of final judgment. He proceeds to a chaotic and horrible place where he sees 7 stars like great burning mountains bound together. The angel Uriel explains, "These are of the number of the stars of heaven which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord, and are bound here till 10,000 years." Even the celestial bodies are subject to divine law, and those that transgress their appointed courses are imprisoned. He sees another, even more terrible place, a great fire blazing in a chasm, a prison for the angels, where they will be confined forever. This is Tartarus, a place of preliminary confinement before the final abyss of fire. Then Raphael shows him a mountain in the west, with 4 deep, smooth, dark, hollow places. These, he explains, are the waiting places for the souls of the dead until the great judgment. One compartment is for the spirits of the righteous, with a bright spring of water. Another is for the spirits of sinners who were not judged in their lifetime, where they are set apart in great pain. A third is for the spirits of those who were slain, like Abel, who make suit for justice. And a fourth is for the spirits of the wicked, who were complete in transgression, who will not be raised in the judgment. Here, Enoch sees the spirit of Abel himself, still crying out against his brother Cain, a testament that no injustice is forgotten before God. The journey continues to the ends of the earth, revealing more wonders. He sees a fire that runs without resting, which Raguel explains is the fire in the west that persecutes the luminaries of heaven, part of the celestial machinery. He sees 7 magnificent mountains of glorious stones, 3 to the east, 3 to the south, and a 7th in the midst that excels them all, resembling the throne of God. Encircling this throne-like mountain are fragrant trees, and among them, one tree in particular stands out, a tree of such beauty and fragrance that it is beyond comparison. Its leaves and blooms never wither, and its fruit is beautiful. Michael explains the significance of this tree. This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne. This is the place where the Lord of glory will sit when he comes to earth in goodness. And the fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment. After the judgment, however, it shall then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit will be for food for the elect, and it will be transplanted to the holy place, the temple of the Lord. This is the tree of life, a promise of eternal joy and peace for the righteous, a direct contrast to the tree of knowledge whose fruit led to the fall in Eden. The righteous will live long lives on earth, free from sorrow and plague, in a world tilled in righteousness. Enoch is then shown the center of the earth, a blessed place with trees and a stream and a holy mountain. But next to it, he sees an accursed valley. Uriel explains its purpose. This accursed valley is for those who are accursed forever. Here shall all the accursed be gathered together who utter with their lips against the Lord unseemly words, and of his glory speak hard things. This is Gehenna, the final place of judgment for the wicked, where they will be gathered for the spectacle of righteous judgment. The contrast could not be starker, the blessed mountain with the tree of life for the righteous, and the accursed valley of fire for the blasphemers. A visual representation of the great separation Enoch prophesied at the beginning. His journey continues to the east, where he sees aromatic trees exuding fragrances of frankincense and myrrh, valleys full of water, and fragrant trees like cinnamon, and mountains of nard and pepper. He is taken over the Erythraean Sea and finally arrives at the Garden of Righteousness. There he sees the tree of wisdom, the very one from which Adam and Eve ate. Raphael confirms it. This is the tree of wisdom, of which thy father old in years and thy aged mother have eaten. And they learnt wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked. He sees the ends of the earth, the great beasts and diverse birds, and the portals of heaven from which the stars emerge, whose courses and laws Uriel writes down for him. He travels to the north, south, and west, seeing the portals of the winds that bring weather, both good and violent, to the earth. Throughout this incredible journey, the overwhelming theme is order, the intricate, beautiful, and powerful design of God's creation, a design that was violently disrupted by the pride of the watchers and the corruption of mankind. As the vision concludes, Enoch is left with a sense of profound awe. He has seen the beginning and the end, the rebellion and the judgment, the prisons of the fallen, and the paradise of the righteous. He has been granted a glimpse into the very mind of God, the architecture of the universe, and the ultimate destiny of all souls. His final act is one of worship. I blessed always the Lord of glory, and I continued to bless the Lord of glory, who has wrought great and glorious wonders. He blesses God for the greatness of his work, shown to angels, spirits, and men, so that all creation might see the work of his might and praise the great work of his hands. The Book of the Watchers ends with this doxology, a hymn of praise from a man who has traversed heaven and hell and returned with a message of warning and hope. The story of the Watchers is a foundational myth of cosmic evil, a tale that explains the presence of suffering, violence, and demonic forces in the world. It paints a picture of a God who is both terrifying in his justice and boundless in his mercy, a God who will not allow his creation to remain in a state of defilement forever. The legacy of Enoch's vision would echo through the centuries, influencing Jewish and Christian thought, providing a cosmology and a theology of the fallen world, and pointing toward a future day of reckoning when the Holy Great One will once again tread upon the earth, not to condemn, but to save, to make peace with his elect, and to restore all things to their original intended glory. This is the enduring power of Enoch's parable, a voice from a remote generation, speaking directly to our own, reminding us of the stakes of rebellion and the sure promise of redemption.